Oh, hi, Internet. Do you like video games? Do you like Japanese role-playing games? Have you been asking for a HD re-release of Final Fantasy VII? Of course you have! That's all we've heard on GameSpot.com for the past... When did Final Fantasy VII come out?
1997.
7?
Yeah.
A year before the big one. A year before 98. Jeremy Jane, Peter Brown.
Hi.
You guys
Hi.
played Final Fantasy VII back in the day. And we finally got, I remember back at the PlayStation Experience, we got like, yeah, we're going to re-release Final Fantasy VII, but it looks the exact same. And everyone was super not happy about that.
Yeah.
But this year at E3, they showed a trailer with some CG-ass Cloud Strife happening. They're remaking Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
They are, yeah.
It's not even an HD thing. They're just going to go whole hog on this.
Yeah, which could mean a lot of different things, right? I mean, Alexa talked to, I think Tetsuya Nomura, the director, at E3, and he was saying, like, yeah, the story, you know, that story already exists. Why would we want to put the same story out there? It's going to change.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, I mean, think about it this way. So a lot of people got upset when they announced this. They're like, you know, we want our game to be untouched. It's this canonical piece of gaming history, and we want it, you know, to look beautiful and to be touched up, but essentially to be an untouched game. But from where I'm standing, it's kind of like, why would you want to play, like I've played that game several times. I shouldn't even ask the question, why would you want to play the same game again? But like, don't you, like if they're going to bring in all these beautiful, creative people to like work on this amazing project, wouldn't you want them to put new things in it and like reimagine it without corrupting the like central core of Final Fantasy VII?
I don't know, man. I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, but if I think of like an HD remake of any of my like big nostalgia pull games,
Yeah.
don't fuck with my old game.
For sure.
That's where my brain goes straight away.
So I don't know, like that, you can still go back and play Final Fantasy VII. The remake will never negate the existence of the original. So you will always have that to go back to. What I am excited about is seeing stuff like this, right? We're looking at Midgar here, which, you know, the slums of Midgar, I think it's Sector 7 or Sector 9, and you know, these sort of, back in the day when you played this game, you got a real sense of the identity of the environment, the people who live there, is because of the pretty good storytelling. You know, some of the dialogue was really campy, but you really got to know the environment and the society. And those are the things I'm interested in seeing, like, you know, elevated to new levels with greater attention to detail, just, you know, better framing and composition. Before there were fixed cameras for the most part.
Yeah.
Just text bubbles for everything previously, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous as hell about hearing, you know, I guess you could have heard Cloud Strife's voice if you watch Advent Children, you know, the movie they made, but I...
Sure did.
Yeah.
That was pretty.
That's really all it was.
Yeah.
And people are worried that there are going to be like elements from that, you know, incorporated into 7. And 7 was so popular that, you know, Advent Children and some of the other games that even came after it really springboarded off its success, but never really stayed true to like the core that made Final Fantasy 7 so special. It exploited that game and the identity of all the characters to come up with new stuff. So
Like,
I just hope it doesn't do that.
Isn't just the reality of one of these games that if you remake a game like this, like going back and playing that game and seeing like how much detail is in each area and how quickly the plot moves from like place to place to place, like if you frame that game in a fully realized CG world, it just kind of wouldn't work. Like it would just feel really strange. Like the area that you play in that town you were in earlier.
Right, it
is
might
so
seem
small.
really
Like,
small.
it's
Yeah,
like if
it's
you had
possible.
like, are you saying like if you had the original Resident Evil, but you remade it in the Resident Evil 4 engine, you'd be like walking around those environments, but you wouldn't have those like fixed camera things,
See, I
so
think
you'd be
it
like, where the hell am
I
I?
think
No,
they
I think that
actually
would
did
work.
remake the
Yes.
original
Yeah,
Resident
but
Evil.
didn't it have...
But that would work
It
because
had
it's such
fixed
a.
cameras still.
I feel like that would work because it's such a small area. What I'm saying is like when they made these games in the past, they only had the ability to render
Right,
a small
right.
thing, but they kind of obfuscated. They made you think that it was part of a real world.
Right.
Whereas the way we make things feel like real worlds today is we make
a real world
worlds.
for sure.
So
well, I
maybe it
mean,
would
that's why this is an exciting opportunity, at least in my opinion, because like I love Final Fantasy VII, man. I played that game like when it came out, and I was a kid, and like I struggled through it. My computer couldn't run it. I would like lose my save data all the time. But like that game was so worth it because it was such an insane narrative experience that it's like reading a book. Like my brain filled in so much of that game because that game didn't fill in a lot of things for you because it's, you know, it's an older game. They, like you said, they had the fixed camera angles. There were things that I wondered about, and I'm like, why can't I go over there and see what's over there? I'm excited to see all of these people who are so excited and passionate about this project create those like missing spots and like go back and fill in and flesh out the world a little more.
There's the danger though of them actually having the time and the budget to do
Right,
that.
of course.
Because if you look at something like Final Fantasy 13, like that's a big budget Final Fantasy game that they were working on for a very long time. And you look at the sort of locales that are there, they're pretty sparse. Like there's a couple NPCs. It doesn't feel like a living environment the way I think so much of Final Fantasy 7 did.
Right.
But also that game, that world is huge. Like there are, when you end up playing 70, 80 hours into that game, you end up in little villages, like forests out in the middle of nowhere that have these little pockets of like, hidden areas. It's hard for me to imagine how that structure is going to work for something like a modern Final Fantasy game with the way that they design it these days, because the last few have been linear as hell. They haven't made like a large open map Final Fantasy game in such a long time, apart from 14, but that doesn't really count.
So for something like Final Fantasy VII, we just saw some footage there. The one they showed off of the PlayStation Experience is sort of the idea of HDing up the old game. But if they're making this new game in a new engine, in a new world, like what does that mean in terms of new content? Do you just like add a couple of more mini games to Go Saucer? Do you add like entire new parts of the world? Do you have to change the story to enable that?
I don't think they need to add to it very much, apart from the world building aspect of it. I don't think there needs to be more content because you play that. I mean, a 70, 80-hour game. That's quite a bit of content already. I mean, one thing they could do, depending on how they manage the new combat, because it probably will. Of course. I doubt it'll be turn-based. It could be, but the materia system made the game so interesting, and how you could have one bit of materia and raise it over the course of dozens of hours to finally unlock some crazy things. So you combine that with other things you've had a similar adventure with, and to even add a couple new materia to make that interesting, I think would be enough for a lot of people to get really excited about playing it again. That's
going to be an interesting thing when they go whatever they do to the combat. Yeah. Jeremy, are you in favor of them changing it up, or would you want to play classic, like Phoenix Down for 50 seconds or whatever?
So I recently, Final Fantasy IX is one of the only ones that I didn't play out of the golden age or whatever the hell. And Alexa was like, you have to go play it. So that was like my homework. So I went home and I started playing that game and I really liked it. And I got pretty far into it. But I have to say that the old active time combat, filling the meters and stuff, it worked so great for me back in the day, and there's just something I just don't have time for that, or something, or
doesn't work anymore.
Antsy, or it feels antiquated. But God, if the one thing they have to fix is the summon animations, because anyone who's played Final Fantasy VII, you summon Knights of the Round, and then you go microwave a burrito, because it's gonna be a minute until you're doing anything again. So I mean, they have to do something with the combat. I don't know how it's gonna play out, because I think it has to be turn-based, but I don't know how it's going to be.
You would think so. I mean, Final Fantasy 15, that game initially it lets you control multiple party members. Now they've whittled it down to one, because that's essentially what you have to do when you're doing real-time combat like this with a party. And your party is just there to support you. And I think the combat in the game overall will absolutely suffer if you do not have control over your entire team. And doing that as a single player, you might need that active time battle or turn-based combat system that we're used to.
Yeah.
How would you feel about them adding all this stuff to the game and then just having some weird ass classic mode that you hit that just lets you do all the old stuff?
I would love that.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very worried about this remake, but I'm very excited that they have the balls to give it a shot.
Right, me too. I mean, that's why I'm excited, because sure, there's the risk of them fucking it up and this just being some snafu in gaming history and everyone is so pissed. But if they don't take that risk, they don't have the opportunity to potentially make something where it's oh whoa, if I tell my kids to play Final Fantasy VII, I'm going to be play this one. You know what I mean? That may not be, I feel that won't be the case, but I really hope it is.
You never know.
Yeah,
last question for both you guys. I'm going to put you on the spot. Jeremy, when will we see this remake of Final Fantasy VII?
Oh, God.
Year and quarter.
When Atlantis rises from the sea. I have no idea.
You got to get one. I'm going to go back. We're going to go back in the B-roll. We're going to go back in the archive, sorry for this, in a couple of years. Or maybe in a couple of months.
Q1 2017. I have no idea.
Okay.
That's ambitious. Q3 2019.
Oh, fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
Q3 2019?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, shit, look how long it's taken them to make the other Final Fantasy games.
Great. All right. We'll see. We'll see if we're all still around then.
I'll be dead.
Yeah, you'll probably.
I'd probably be dead.
You live a very entertaining, rich life. You'll probably be.
Razor's Edge, man.
It's got to catch up with you, man.